Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. It's about that week. Michigan heading on the road to play the Little Brothers. This is a game that I've had circled for the last 12 months, a game that all Michigan fans have had circled. And even though, Michigan, 24.5-point favorites heading on the road, kind of clearly been the better team the first half of the season, these games can always get hairy. It's a rivalry for a reason. There's a lot of wacky games that have happened between Michigan and Michigan State. Really excited to get into this one now. Before we do, just want to say thank you to you guys, and especially the Michigan fans. You guys know this is our team that we love talking about. The amount of support from the Michigan fans, it truly does mean a lot. It's seemingly a really special season. Can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. So if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. More importantly, let us know in the comment section who you guys are rocking with. We'd love to hear from you guys. Even we got some Michigan State fans. Let's chop it up. Let's talk. So we can talk a little junk. Let's chop it up. Appreciate y'all rocking with this. Dill, gonna kick this one off to you. Michigan heading on the road to Spartan Stadium. Night game. How we feeling?
And on paper, obviously, Michigan's the far superior team. But, I mean, in this rivalry, it kind of is one of those ones where I've seen games of Michigan where I thought they were easy wins. And back in that 2017 season when we had John O'Korn leading us into that game, I thought that was an easy Michigan win. He turns out there, throws three picks.
There's no easy Michigan wins when Johnny O'Korn's starting at quarterback.
No, I thought there was going to be, but then the rivalry got to him, and obviously he couldn't score more than 10 points on a cold, rainy night. So this is the type of game that, again, Michigan's obviously a far better team this year, but these rivalry games have a funny way of getting interesting, and that's why you play the game.
That is why you play the games. Let's start with this Michigan State offense going up against the Michigan defense that you talk about dominant. You couldn't really expect anything more than what Michigan's been doing. 6.7 points per game for opposing offenses, number 1 in the country. Number 3 in the country, only 4.1 yards per play. Michigan State goes with Caden Hauser, who looked really good against Rutgers in the first half. Again, cold, rainy day for Caden Hauser. They were up, 17 heading into the fourth quarter, and absolutely an epic meltdown out of more of that coaching staff than it is Caden Hauser. I will say, Caden Hauser, I think, offers a much higher ceiling than Noah Kim. You can tell he's a more talented quarterback. He can extend plays better. He's got the bigger arm. My problem with Michigan State, when you look at him, they just don't do anything well, right? They want to run the football 3.5 yards per carry. That's 108. They got a good running back in Nathan Carter. I don't think they have that good of an offensive line. Really can't get much going down the field. And they're going up against the Michigan team that you look all 3 levels, defensive line, backers, secondary. Ain't no holes in this defense.
Yeah, and you just look, they're obviously starting to get guys back. When you notice one guy who you notice a monster difference on and off the field is Mason Graham. I feel like he gets attention. We all know he's a star, but I feel like we were talking a lot about, the secondary's a little banged up. When Mason Graham is on the field, he's so dynamic. He's such a good pass rusher. Him and Chris Jenkins are the two who right now are really making plays, I'd say, getting behind the line, making TFLs. Kenneth Grant's playing good football too, for sure. But right now, those two are just playing at such a high level and really taking over games that, man, you look, Michigan State really hasn't been good enough up front. I don't see how they handle those two.
I'd even add Dylan. This is a guy we've been critical on in the past, Cam Good. You talk about some guys on the inside who are making it happen. And this inside pass rush, you talk about pass rush win rates, and we got 3 guys who have a 10+% pass rush win rate from the inside. The only one who's just below 10 is Kenny Grant. And Chris Jenkins at 12%. Elite pass rush from the inside that's also really good at eating up blocks and stopping the run. Dill, the story for me in this Michigan defense, why we're, I think, kind of bumping on that next level from what we saw last year, the edge rushers have been absolutely dominant. And you got 4 guys, McGregor, Derek Moore, Josiah Stewart, Jalen Harrell, all 4 of those guys, 10+ quarterback hurries on the year, all of them averaging a 15% or higher pass rush win rate. When you have 4 edge rushers and 4 guys on the inside where you're just rotating in and out all game, it's so hard for the offensive line to deal with. And you ask me why I think this Michigan defense has been so dominant this year, it starts with the line of scrimmages and it starts with that unit on the defensive line.
Yeah, and that was a missing piece. And it wasn't such an issue in the run, obviously, but in the pass rush, they weren't dominant. They were okay, and they could get a little bit from the inside with Mozzie and Chris Jenkins. But aside from those two, you really didn't have anyone you could turn to. I mean, guys like, again, you mentioned Harrell and McGregor cranking up their level. Derek Moore coming into his own as a second-year guy, and then Josiah Stewart. adding that real elite edge rusher play. Not like, and he's probably the one who's a little more one-dimensional in a sense in terms of how he wants to play and really just purely be on the edge. The other three are big, physical, can rush inside, rush outside, bull rush, do what they got to do. And then obviously they run really well. But man, they all come together and are, again, what you said, bringing that elite level pass rush that we just didn't have last year, while everything else was kind of closer to that elite level in my mind.
Yeah, it starts up front. You take a look at the rest of this unit. Like, I'm going to go to the secondary. We got really good linebackers. Mikey Barrett, Junior Colson, Ernest Hausman, obviously.
Mike Barrett's playing awesome, and that's like, I think if you're a Michigan fan, you got to love that because he's been around 6 years now.
I got to put my hand up. Like, I was a little bit critical of Mike Barrett. Like, I didn't think he'd be a starting linebacker for us. I thought it'd be Junior Colson and Ernest Hausman. Mikey Barrett's been absolutely dominant. His average depth of tackle this year, it's 0.8 yards after the line of scrimmage. I mean, he is literally only making tackles living either on or behind the line of scrimmage. So impressive. Such an impressive number for the linebacker, Cordell. You look in the secondary, and two things that I want to kind of touch on. Will Johnson, we knew he was elite. Mikey Sandstro, knew he was elite. The rest of these guys are really stepping up, right? One of the big question marks, Josh Wallace, who's going to play that boundary cornerback opposite Will Johnson. He's been 16 targets, only giving up 6 catches. The real story is because we knew Rod Moore was a guy. We knew McCarthy Page was a guy. The young buck, Keon Sapp, on 10 targets, only 3 catches. He's been flying around, making plays, and he gives us I talked about it last week, but I'm kind of interested to hear your take on it. Gives us a little bit more flexibility in what we want to do, because I think we want Rod Moore, McCarthy Page, and Keon Sapp on the field at the same time. You're seeing Mikey Sandstro to kick out to the boundary sometimes, and you kick McCarthy in, you get Keon Sapp and Rod Moore in the back end. It's just so many different levels and groupings of personnel, and the emergence of Keon Sapp, not only from a depth standpoint.
We haven't even gotten to see it yet because we haven't played an offense that, like, I mean, it just doesn't matter who's out there right now. The talent is so far above what these teams can kind of throw at Michigan. But I think you're right. You see how versatile everyone is. I'm kind of excited to see what, like, when they go play in Maryland or a Penn State, one of those teams that has a little bit more on the offensive side to offer, like, really get into using these guys in some unique ways. Because you mentioned it. I mean, having essentially 4 guys who can play a safety nickel hybrid in Sanders, McCarthy, Rod, and Keon Sapp, it does give you a lot of options, and you need that nowadays, especially when you're playing those teams that want to spread it out.
Especially when you're Jesse Minter and you just want to get creative, start dialing up different pressures.
We're also taking the ball away, which I love, and we didn't take the ball.
Yes.
I didn't feel like we took the ball away a whole lot last year. But
no, it wasn't. It was a massive talking point. We were averaging, at one point last year, we were averaging like 0.8 takeaways per game. We're like, this team, like, the amount of havoc we're creating, like, we should be creating more turnovers. We're making plays when the ball comes our way. That's massive. The Big Ten coaches love us. Like, everyone's been saying we're basically an NFL team. Can't blame them. Let's go to the offense here. And Michigan State on defense, I really don't think it's that bad of a unit. Like, they're not an elite unit by any means, but I think they've been put in so many bad situations from that offense. The offense struggles to stand field, been turning the ball over. I like some of the guys in the front 7. I think they got some young guys in the back end who are pretty talented as well. Still, why Michigan special this year? Obviously, an elite defense. We just gushed over it for 10 minutes almost. J.J. McCarthy, 78% completion percentage. What was the one thing that we were pounding the table for in terms of what we wanted to see from this offense? A little bit more play action, a little bit more explosive plays. J.J. McCarthy is number 4 in the country, averaging 10 yards per pass attempt. We asked for explosive plays. That's exactly what we're getting here.
And we're doing it, like, efficiently, where it's not like, again, I know they were trying last year to hit explosive plays. They just weren't hitting them. They were going deep. They were trying to take the top off the defense. And you were just like shades away, it felt like, too many times. Right now, they're hitting on them. I think they're using the middle of the field and the tight ends really, really well, which I think has been huge. In just the emergence kind of what Roman Wilson and CJ have kind of brought, I just feel like both have started to really play really consistent football. They're open all the time. They're not dropping passes. I mean, that catch from Cornelius yesterday in the rain, really good catch and kind of a big spot. Again, the game did get out of hand, but at that point, Michigan really wasn't playing great football. So to go make that type of play, I think is huge. And we're just getting way more from these wide receivers than we did last year.
And this offense is, you noted it, like, we're attacking more areas of the field. And something we talked about in the offseason where, like, Michigan last year, like, we didn't do a great job attacking that deeper third. And it was, like, kind of like the opposing defense kind of put safeties in the box and try to kind of squeeze down on this short intermediate passing game and stop the run. You have that ability to throw the deep ball. JJ's shown it. I think it's going to help the run game too, especially when you start playing some better teams where, hey, if we have to respect that deep pass, you're going to see, because what did Ohio State do to us? They just kept pounding the box. And yeah, we were able to beat them with the deep ball in that game. But there were times where teams would just stack the box and we'd have to run into crowded boxes. When you have that deep ball, and JJ's shown that he can beat you over the top if you want to load the box. I mean, that's when this Michigan offense is that dangerous. Tyler Morris, Colson Loveland.
Intermediate's gotten like, I almost think that's the more important part of the game. It's like I knew Michigan was trying to go deep and they were attacking that, but they weren't running guys across the middle of the field or getting the ball like in that 10 to 20 yard range. That, again, those type of plays, they should be easy. They should be able to attack them when you can run the ball like Michigan can. And it didn't feel like we got a ton of that. We ran a lot of crossers, a lot of quick outs, a lot of things that were really under 10 yards. And now they're using Colson Loveland, trying to attack downfield a little bit.
Last year, they just didn't let JJ off the leash. You know what I mean? Like, it was just a lot of like conservative kind of 5-yard hooks, 5-yard outs, like nothing really pushing the ball down the field. Letting the JJ off the leash is, I mean, what, number 2 in Heisman Trophy odds? That's a good investment. Sounds like it. Still, I mean, all right, let's get to the pick here. Michigan, 24.5-point favorites on the road at Michigan State. My brain would, as a betting man, I would be, oh, no, I'm not taking Michigan rivalry game, 24.5 points. The way Michigan's been looking at, I love it. 24.5. I mean, Jim wants to beat teams badly. You saw it against Indiana. Like and here's my argument. We were talking about, should you take Michigan 35.5 points against Indiana? When we put our 2s in the fourth quarter, they're better than Michigan State's 1s. We're going to run it up.
That is part of the problem, is when Tuttle comes in, he is a legit starting Big Ten quarterback. He's not JJ, but he can score the ball on teams that are inferior to what Michigan is, which I think Michigan State is. I will say, I mean, betting that many points, I do like Michigan to do it, but if I took my Michigan hat off or whatever you might say, I don't like 20 points, just a lot of points.
Oh, I love it. No, Michigan State. And I also have a question, like obviously the stuff with the Mel Tucker incident, but like that locker room after losing to Rutgers, what happened in the fourth quarter, like, dude, it was like an utter meltdown. And Jim Harbaugh kept the first team offensive lineman for Jack Tuttle too. Benjamin Hall, our fourth running back, is an absolute dog. I don't know. Maybe this is as positive, and I'm screaming in the mic. I quiet myself down. This is as optimistic as I've been of a Michigan program, Michigan team since I've been alive. Like straight up, like when I look,
we haven't had this type of quarterback in forever. Like
when we texted our buddy where it's like, well, how great is it to have Jay when he did that little flip? It's like we never had a quarterback like
Michigan's had good defenses. They've had good offense lines. They've been able to run it in the Harbaugh era and even before, but like they've never had a guy like JJ who can take a game over if he wanted. But you can see.
You know, I'm a vibe guy. Like just the vibe of this team, it's electric. And then I look across the country and I'm like, oh, Georgia just gave up 20 points to Vanderbilt. Ohio State struggling in certain games. Michigan, this is the year. It really feels good. Again, Michigan fans, I know I got a little fan talk there, but appreciate you guys rocking with the fellas. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Appreciate you guys, and we'll talk to y'all later.